We'll call to order the June 9th meeting of the Conestoga Valley Board of School Directors. I want to welcome everyone that's here and those that join us remotely. This is our work session, the first of two meetings this month, in which we received most of the informational presentations, as well as discuss and deliberate future decisions, official actions, or directives. There may often be some action voting issues required on timely issues or to meet time restraint guidelines. Our meetings observe all legal and policy requirements to the best of our understanding and ability. All agendas and available related public documents are posted on the district website. Before we begin, I also need to announce that after our May 19th meeting, we announced that we would not have an executive session, but during our information meeting, some issues did come up, and we ended up discussing a student discipline issue, as well as some staffing and retention issues. Will you please join me in the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Martin, may we have attendance, please?
We have 7 directors present tonight. Dr. Diane Martin and Kathy Trowbridge are absent. We have a quorum in place.
Thank you. Are there any changes to the agenda, either deletions, additions, or changes?
Yes, the budget presentation was updated today, and the student handbook was updated also with some edits.
May I have a motion to approve the corrected agenda?
Motion to approve the corrected agenda.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? If not, we have an agenda, and we'll start with superintendent's comments.
Good evening, everyone. Before I introduce some new staff members this evening, I just want to take a moment and publicly thank some folks out there for this past week. Was an extremely busy week, which culminated with our commencement ceremony on Friday evening, and it was just truly a great event. So I wanted to publicly thank our high school team, including the administration, support staff, graduation coordinators, for really just putting together a really nice event. The student speeches were amazing. The student musical performances were amazing. I just thought the whole evening went off without a hitch. So thanks to all involved, and is also a special thank you to Calvary Church, who they always do a nice job playing host and allowing us to use their venue. So just wanted to share that. So I have quite a few new staff to introduce this evening. So bear with me. For those who are being introduced, if you could just real quickly stand up and kind of give a wave so everybody can put the name with the face, that'd be wonderful. So first, I would like to introduce Annalise Graw. Annalise will be a pre-K teacher at Leola. She's been teaching pre-K since 2015. She began as an assistant teacher with Owl Hill, then served as an assistant director with Chesterbrook Academy. Since 2023, she has served as a lead teacher and an educational director for Steps to Success, serving the Conestoga Valley School District. She has her bachelor's degree in education from Hofstra University. So welcome. She's been here with us, working in our pre-K program as an employee of Steps to Success, and now we're happy to say she's officially ours. So welcome, Annalise. So next we have Melissa Steinman. Melissa will be a pre-K teacher as well at Fritz Elementary. She has her bachelor's degree in early childhood education from Millersville. This past school year, she served as a long-term substitute in our life skills classroom at Fritz, where she did a great job, and we're happy that she's joining us in pre-K now in a little bit different of a role. So welcome. And next, we also have another pre-K teacher. This one will be at Brownstown, Corey Allwine. Corey has been teaching preschool and pre-K since 2006. Most recently, she has been a pre-K accounts teacher for Steps to Success, serving CV at Brownstown. In 2014, she was the recipient of the Tara Lynn Lockoff National Child Care Teacher Award. Not only is she a CV alum, she has her bachelor's degree in early childhood education from Westchester University and her master's in early childhood education from Walden University. So welcome, Corey. So there's our pre-K team members joining us. So switching gears a little bit, next we have Mark Klitcherich. Did I say that? Did I butcher that too bad? Perfect, all right. So Mark's going to be a new middle school science teacher, teaching 6th grade at the middle school next year. He began his teaching career in 2016 in Fairfax County, Virginia, where he was a social studies teacher and a baseball coach at West Potomac High School. Since 2023, he has been a middle school social studies teacher with the Reading School District. He received his bachelor's degree in social studies education from Westchester University and a master's of education in educational leadership from George Mason University. He also holds his PA principal certificate. So, welcome, Mark. And next we have Matthew Furlong. Welcome, Matthew. Matthew is being recommended to be our next Director of Finance for the school district. Matt has held various business positions in the corporate world prior to joining the Octorara School District in 2014. Since this time, he has held several positions in the business office at Octorara, including serving as a payroll administrator and accounting assistant, a human resources and accounting supervisor, and assistant business manager. Mr. Furlong holds a bachelor's degree from West Virginia University in business administration and management and a master's degree in school business leadership from Wilkes University. Welcome, Matt. And finally, last but not least, we have Dr. Kelly Galbraith. I probably mispronounced that as well, so I apologize. Kelly will be joining us as a Director of Curriculum and Instruction. She has her bachelor's degree in English education from Ithaca College, a master's in teaching and curriculum from Penn State University, and her doctorate in educational leadership from Immaculata University. She began her career as an English teacher in the Kannapolis School District in North Carolina, but after a year moved back to PA and was a teacher at Manheim Township, where she taught from 2001 to 2009 as an English teacher, reading specialist, and literacy coach. She then moved on to Wyomissing School District, where she served as an assistant principal of the junior-senior high school. She has worked for IU13 since 2011 as a curriculum and instruction consultant, teaching and learning collaborative supervisor for literacy, and most recently as the program director of teaching and learning. She is a familiar face to many at CV, as she has worked closely with many of our staff on various curriculum projects in her role at IU13, and she is also a CV resident and parent. So welcome, Kelly. That concludes my report for the evening.
I'd like to welcome all of you. Board comments on recent activity. I will second what Dr. Hartman said about graduation. It was a wonderful ceremony this year. They made I think a few tweaks in how they handled some of it, but it went so smoothly, and the student speeches were really especially good this year. Very well done. We have no presentations, so we now have room if anyone would like to address the board on an issue that's on the agenda. This would be when to do that. If not, we'll move on to the action discussion items. The first is approval of the superintendent's report, and I will note that it also includes approval of the new position of Director of Curriculum and Instruction.
You just need approval for just the report. Does that cover the new director position?
That's on the report, yes.
Can we approve the director position first?
We're doing it all at the same time.
Just do it all at the same time?
Yeah, it works.
And then approval of the superintendent's report. Motion to approve the superintendent's report.
That's all you have to say.
Second.
Any comments or questions? If not, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Fisher?
Aye.
Mr. Hurst?
Aye.
Mr. Talley?
Aye.
And Mrs. Kapka?
Aye.
Mr. Gensel?
Aye.
Mr. Eby?
Aye.
Mrs. Groff?
Aye. Approval of the bond resolution. We reviewed this last month. but we had to put it on this agenda. Are there any concerned about the bond resolution? If not, I will take a motion to approve that. I want everyone who's leaving to know I take names. I know what they told you, but I'm telling you I take names. And I'll remember. Have a good evening. Could I have a motion to approve the bond resolution?
Motion to approve the bond resolution.
Second.
Any comments or questions? If not, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Hurst.
Aye.
Mr. Talley. Mrs. Kapka.
Aye.
Mr. Gensel. Mr. Eby.
Aye.
Mrs. Groff.
Aye.
Mrs. Fisher.
The bond resolution passes unanimously. And Mr. Peters, we are ready to look at these change orders.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. That's helpful. Tonight we have 3 change orders, 2 for Leola and 1 for Smoketown. So the first one, GC03, relates to the area in the 5th grade, so a certain group of classrooms in the lower level, really some of it's below grade. We dug down to put new steel in because we're opening up those classrooms. So it's a huge difference in terms of taking out some of those piers. But when we dug under the slab, we found some voids. So this was the work to fill that in. We had to cart in stone. There was no direct access in there, so they carted in stone and tamped it down and had it inspected as they went to fill in, poured the new slab after they had the steel in. So that's what this change order here is, GC03, that's on the agenda. Are there any questions about that one? Okay. GC04. This is change order that the flooring sub, or for the flooring sub specifically, they're going to float or they're going to coat with a cement underlayment all the floors there. So what that'll do is it'll just create a smooth level surface for all the new flooring, specifically the quartz tile, the UPO flooring that's going down in all the classrooms. We found a lot of unevenness from previous abatements and just the renovations over time in the building. So we needed to coat this floor. Basically, this covers the whole school. We're not, well, except for the gym wood floor, we're obviously not coating that. But the rest of it, this will be down before you put flooring, including carpet, down. So if there's any issues with tile cracking or inconsistencies afterwards, it would be on this sub because they have floated the floor and then also put the tile over top. So that's this change order for Leola as well. Any questions on that one? Okay, and then the last one is Smoketown. So we're closing out the remaining contracts. This is the unused allowances for the mechanical contracts. So we have $32,000 that we didn't use. So it's a deduct out of their contract as we're closing out them from the project. So things that we didn't use that we had built into the contract that we didn't need. So this comes back out. This will leave us with an open GC contract. And hopefully we'll be able to close those out here in the next few months. Overall, this leaves Smoketown in about a 1.25% change order, which is great for the overall project. So we're really happy about that. We have about $5,000 or $6,000 of allowances left for the GC as well. Any questions on this?
We're all happy with that kind of change order.
Yes. Yeah, we'll end with a good one there. Yeah.
Any questions? If not, thank you very
Okay.
much. This will be in our consent agenda next week.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Mrs. Hunsinger.
The good news is we're in the home stretch with the budget. So we just have this meeting and the next week's, and then we can move on to the next project. So as I've mentioned in the last several presentations, we do need to have approval next week for the 25-26 final budget. Coming back to you since May with some minor changes, no real solid information on the state budget at this point. But this morning, I was reading an article in the Lancaster newspaper. It was a very nice article doing a comparison. Well, there are two articles. One was just kind of giving a summary for each school district in the county and what their millage rate increases, what the impact is to the taxpayers. And then there was another article featuring Dan Forey, the CFO from Penn Manor, and they did a comparison of Penn Manor and Conestoga Valley. So when we look at a tax base, as I've mentioned before, CV has a very, very diverse tax base. They look at basically four buckets: residential, industrial, commercial, and agriculture. It was interesting to me that for Penn Manor, the paper stated that there was a 78% real estate tax basis based on the residential properties, and they are the highest in the county for residential, whereas Conestoga Valley is the lowest in the county for residential. We come in at 54.6%, and then 30.9% for commercial properties and 8.4% for industrial, and the balance, of course, is agriculture. Having that diverse tax base, and especially the industrial and commercial, is what has enabled us to maintain a relatively low millage rate throughout the years here in Lancaster County. This particular slide was what was added this morning to the PowerPoint. So we did have a few very minor changes to the budget since last month, netting about $100,000. We had got some updated information from the assessment office that was showing some additional growth in our real estate tax values. Then we also were able to make some adjustments to our capital project cost adjustments. Mr. Hurst was kind of looking at taking off some of the mower accessories and postponing that. And then we also presented with you last month a software package called Clear Identification, and that was to help us to identify any cyber students that were being billed for who are not residents of the district. The cost of that software is $20,000, and we think we can at least net one student off the tax roll, so that would be a wash. Of course, there might be others identified that we can remove from our enrollment for cybers and save some money there. So this is a summary that I've provided you before showing the impact of a 2.5% millage rate increase. The cost to the taxpayer would be $85, and 2.75% increase would be a cost to the taxpayer of $93. We did run the calculations with the homestead farmstead exclusion, and the state has provided us with some additional monies for homestead farmstead or for property tax relief. And running the calculations last year, each taxpayer that qualified for the homestead farmstead exclusion received $156 off of their tax bill. Due to the additional monies from the state this year, that's increasing to $181 deduction from their tax bill, an increase of about $25 additional deduction. So what we're looking at right now is the comparison of a 2.5 and a 2.75% millage rate increase. The scenarios how I'm showing it to you right now is that we are only budgeting for 50% of the Ready to Learn adequacy supplement. Hopefully we'll receive the full amount, but at this point there are too many unknowns and we don't have the movement in Harrisburg to be able to predict what that tax revenue could be. With a 2.5% millage rate increase, our millage, real estate tax revenue would be $1.4 million and bringing us to a $1.3 million deficit. With a 2.75% millage rate increase, we receive $139,000 additional real estate tax revenue, and that would reduce our projected deficit to $1.2 million. So just on the next page, this is, I was pulling together some information last week. This was very similar to what L&P reported on yesterday, showing what the various millage rate increases are for the districts in the county, as well as the impact of the cost to the homeowner, and then what the proposed millage rate increase is. So you can see, looking at that, CV is about in the middle of the pack. So, again, looking forward, I do need some direction this evening. I am very attuned to the impact that millage rate increases have on our taxpayers. I'm very sensitive to that. Part of my job, though, too, is to look out for the long-range plans for the school district, especially in light of us borrowing some additional $15 million. Had a bond rating call regarding that debt issuance with Standards & Poor's last week, very intense one-hour discussion. What they focused in on, too, was the previous year's deficits. I said those were planned deficits, planned budgeted deficits, because we knew our reserves were very high, but pulling down the reserves too much can have an impact, and, it's not always sustainable. So I just need some questions, provide answers, some direction from you this evening.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Ephrata millage rate increase on the chart says 4.8. I thought the actual one was 4. Is this, that's just a typo?
No, some districts, depending on their aid ratios, can receive an updated index, like an adjusted index.
Okay.
So we've never have had an adjusted index, where whatever the Act 1 index is, we've never gone above that, but they had an updated, adjusted.
Okay.
So at 2.75 would make you feel much more comfortable.
Yes, at 2.75 because of and I understand there's the compounding impact to the taxpayer each year too, but I'm looking at it too, 4 and 5 years down the road, what that impact is of not increasing that additional percentage.
Well, me personally, I appreciate the work you put into it, work this hard as you can. I would be fine going with personally 2.75. That's what you need. Oh, yeah. I would agree.
I disagree.
Okay,
I am stuck on
Understand.
2.50.
I understand.
I'm going to be a devil's advocate. I definitely agree with the 2.75, but I'm also kind of like 2.8, 2.9 because of the snowball effect with our debt and the massive debt we're paying back for all these construction projects, and long-term what we're going to be paying off with interest. It's staggering.
Yeah. We're fortunate in having Raymond James, Scott Kramer work with us and doing a lot of planning too. This additional debt has been planned for some time, just the actual timing of it was the variable. But some of the debt is going to be dropping off in this coming year, and that's how we can keep our debt service payments fairly level.
Right.
So just to help support that too.
Yeah, I just, by the time we're done in 20, whatever, I'll be long, wrinkly.
Me too.
It's just insane. So, but yeah, I see that snowball effect 5-6 years down the road. If we keep going low, 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 we're going to stumble and tumble over ourselves and be in a rock and a hard place with nowhere to go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at. But I know I definitely disagree.
I know the difference in the cost to the taxpayer is only, about $12?
Right.
To me, that's death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
Once you're willing to go higher, it just snowballs year after year, and at some point we have to say, at least for me, I have to say I did everything I could to keep it as low as I could.
Yes.
And I understand I'm in the minority, but I am a staunch minority. So what is our next step?
I just need a millage rate increase from you this evening, and then I'll have everything updated for next Monday. We approve the budget then. What I am hearing from Harrisburg is that the state budget will probably be approved in early July. So again, talk about a rock and a hard place,
Yeah.
we don't know. That is one of the most frustrating points for me, is not
This is
having the direction.
every single year.
Yes.
We go through this. I will remind everyone that depending upon what the legislature does, we can change our budget, but we can't change the tax rate once we've approved it.
That's right. Once the bills go out, we're required to have them out on July 1.
We will have the resolution, it will be posted, and it is final.
Yes.
So even good news is only so good. Any other questions or concerns with moving forward? And I guess you have your marching orders.
Okay. The 2.75? That's what I was hearing.
That
was-
seems to be the majority opinion. We can take a straw vote if you'd like. Would you prefer to do that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we know where I am, so 2.5.
2.75. 2.75.
2.75.
2.5.
One, two, that's three of us. We have two people missing. I can't speak for them because as far as I know, they were both at one point waffling. And I don't think it's appropriate for me to try to do that outside of the meeting. So I'm not sure how you'd like us to proceed, unless you want to have two resolutions prepared for me. I'm sorry, you'll have to speak up for me.
Go with the majority who said 2.75, with the majority who's here.
That's 1, 2,
3, 4.
4.
4 to 3.
That's 4 for 2.75. That's
Yep.
not a majority.
Well, voting 4 wins over 3.
I'm sorry.
3 for 2.75 versus 4 for 2. I'm sorry, 3 for 2.5, 4 for 2.75. The 4 wins because they have the more votes.
Well, but we're not voting tonight.
Right, but the straw
And
poll.
next week when we vote, we will have 2 more people, and I'm not sure how they will vote. That's all I'm saying.
Right, if they show up.
Right now, it seems like a majority of 1, but we have 2 more people that still have to weigh in. So I just think
Submit.
you can use your own judgment. If it were me, I would want to be prepared because I'm not sure exactly where either of these 2 people fall.
Well,
So if we, next week, make a motion for one of them and vote on it, 2.75, and if it passes, fine. If it doesn't, then you make a motion for 2.5.
Well, but she would have to be,
Right,
she would have to
do
be
both.
prepared to do both.
Correct.
And it depends who makes the motion next week. Okay. I'm just not about to assume anyone else's vote.
Right, no, I
I
understand.
don't think that's fair. And I know that puts a little bit of a burden on you, but,
Anthony's still here.
oh, well, in that case, oh, I'm sorry. In that case, what the heck? Let's just go ahead and do it that way. I am trying to be as fair to every board member as I can,
Yeah,
okay?
yes. Okay, so I come back next week with documents for 2.5, 2.75,
And we'll get a final vote,
and we'll get a final vote. All right,
okay?
thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you guys very much.
Now, I understand that there have been some changes made in the student handbook since we first had it posted.
Yes.
Because I had a very short list, I will tell you, of concerns. Look, why don't you explain the changes?
The changes that were made were grammatical changes, and also adding some links to the approved policies that we didn't have embedded in. And we also needed to match our changes, which we had a bus piece,
Match it with,
a bus PBIS
oh, yeah.
note that we wanted to put into the code of conduct.
We had
that
enough
wasn't there.
of the alphabet soup. Now you're trying to make it a word.
The positive behavior system that we use. We wanted to make sure that in the code of conduct, that we said it's also being used in the buses.
So basic content is not much different than what we.
Content didn't change.
I got it. Did anyone have any specific, oh, I'm sorry, is there more to it?
Well, no, I was just going to ask if everybody saw the notable changes handout and if there were any questions from that, since we tried to be as clear as possible. in that
Any
document.
questions? I had a couple, and I discussed some of these with Dr. Hartman earlier. The suspension specifically says from athletics. I think that should cover all extracurricular clubs and and it doesn't seem right to say they're just suspended from athletics.
Is that in the extracurricular section you're saying?
Yeah, it actually shows up, I think, 2 or 3 times in the handbook, that we want to make it clear that it's not just athletics that a suspended student is left from. And I could not find it, that could be my fault because the list I know of definitions is very long. But in all of the options, there was restorative justice. And I'm not sure I know what restorative justice means to you. I know what it used to mean to me, but I don't think it's the same thing.
It's a process that we use through our counseling department or through our PBIS tiered levels of support that we're going to be working a lot on actually next year, in which we're restoring relationships once something has been, there's been a challenge that has been between people or groups of people that we are able to get those groups together, those individuals, and we're able to restore relationships. So there's a number of different tactics and different ways that we work with them in terms of reestablishing relationships.
I assume this is to try to put off the possibility of a stronger punishment. So my question is, who decides?
Well, when you look at the appendix at the very end, it is the process of the people that are making the disciplinary actions in order to decide what they would be using in terms of the intervention for the kids.
I think it's really important to have that flexibility, depending upon the student and the circumstances. I think that was, the most. You can only simplify this thing so much, but it is easier to follow, and I think we have a fairer discipline profile than we had before. And I think it's important that kids feel as if their discipline is fair. So this would be on the consent agenda for next week unless...
One thought, vaping.
I'm sorry.
Vaping. One thought on the
Okay.
student handbook is vaping. It's probably one of the top 2 reasons for expulsion. Do we want to add that more prominently rather than having it buried in the tobacco use and nicotine? Add it in the title so there's no ambiguity whatsoever that somebody says, I didn't read it, didn't know.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. If you're looking at this from the perspective of a parent looking to find where their child fits in this, they might not be able to find it easily.
I think we actually
Okay.
talked about that at one
Did you?
point as
Okay.
well, yeah.
Okay, anything else? I do appreciate it was a lot of work trying to fix this up.
Just to add, piggyback on that, every year, updating a handbook is a lot of work, but I think considering that a lot of what's in the handbook comes directly from school board policy, specifically the 100s and the 200 sections, and those are 2 sections that underwent pretty comprehensive policy reviews this year. There was a lot of extra, so I commend these 3 for, it was a lot of work this year because there are so many school board policy updates because of our review. So it made it a little, it's never an easy task, but it was a little extra challenging this year.
The only thing that for me, I sometimes get lost in as I go through that document is how you divide it between office-generated discipline. And to me, it's all the same. It's discipline. All that matters is what they're being accused of doing wrong. But till you get to the end, that very long, 15-page list, I think it's much easier to find where your student falls on this discipline list. And of course, I like the options.
Yes.
I think that's important. Okay, then we will see this next week. And thank you for all of your work. And Dr. Kozer,
Yes, the 2 calendars. Oh, I think do we have the calendars next, the updates?
Oh, you're right.
Right?
You're right. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No, you're good.
Calendar
We just
revision.
did a couple of edits to the 25-26 and 26-27. When we were mapping out our professional learning schedule for the year, we realized we were missing 2 early dismissals. And so the calendars now are the final versions for those 2 years, and they keep the same professional learning schedule that we had this past year in place for everyone. So these are our last edits to those 2 calendars.
Okay. This is what our third version of these.
It is.
At least we don't have to do it every year now.
Right,
Okay.
right.
I'm sorry, now, policy 918.
Okay. You don't have to stay. You're welcome to.
And this is just a review. We'll actually do a first reading next week.
So policy 918 comes out of our federal programs work with our Family and Stakeholder Advisory Committee. We meet annually, and one of the things we're required to do is take a look at and update or make adjustments to this particular policy. So this is an annual review that we do with a group of parents, caregivers, principals, teachers. We all get together and we look at any updates or changes that need to be made to the family engagement policy. So this year, you'll see the changes on page 2 and page 3. One of the things that we talked about in our stakeholder meeting and our training was around this idea of what family involvement means. And so we actually looked at one of the national frameworks out of the National Network of Partnership Schools that really talks about 6 different types of parent involvement. So it's helping to move from that traditional mindset of parents have to come in and volunteer, and that's the only way that they're engaged with their child's learning. It's moving to this wider view of family engagement and saying there's actually 6 different ways that families show their investment in their child's education. And so the committee that I was working with felt really strongly that they wanted to update the policy language to reflect that wider view, more opportunities, more ways to think about involvement on the part of parents, families, and caregivers. So that was really the significant change that we made this year. Good.
Yeah, no problems there.
I'm not quite sure what line she's referring to, but Mrs. Trowbridge had some wording changes. I'll have her get in touch. She felt there was a couple of lines at the beginning that were repetitive,
Okay.
but I'll have her get in touch with you for that.
Yep.
If not, we will have the first reading next week.
Okay. Thank you.
That concludes the action discussion agenda. We have a tentative agenda for next month. Are there any questions on that? If not, is there anyone that would like to address the board on any issue? Board initiatives or announcements. I have a couple here listed. For PSBA, for those of you that are participating in advocacy, you may have noticed that they're really ramping that up. They have a 3-week program. So for those of you that are participating, you should keep track of that. Second, there was a legal update from our solicitors. I think Dr. Hartman was available for about, the first hour. And I was not available. They did send us a recording of it. That's available if you want it. I warn you, it's probably a 2-hour recording because it's the whole program. They also sent us copies of their slides. There's 70 of them. I'm not about to put a document of 70 slides in my computer, but I did go over and make notes. My notes covered a couple pages if anyone's interested. If not, anyone that would like to listen to it or see the slides, please let Dr. Hartman know because the email was sent to him and he can forward it to you. And put aside a lot of time. To simplify, I don't think there was a lot new that we maybe aren't already aware of or that is already just in limbo right now. Any questions on that? If not, we are going to have an executive session to receive our safety and security report, to discuss, this is going to be long, student discipline, to discuss various staffing assignments and retention issues, administrative interviews, and private requests for waivers or challenges of administrative or board policies, and if we have time, some prep for our superintendent's evaluation. So may I have a motion to adjourn to executive session for those purposes? I won't make you repeat it. I ought to.
Motion to move to executive session for the mentioned.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.